Now I'll talk about the assignments that are due during the course of a semester. We have a variety of performance measures that will be done to see how well you're understanding the material that we're covering throughout the course. We'll begin with homework submissions, postings in terms of quantity and quality, doing an ethical dilemma narrative with your classmates, reading a novel that's short and sweet, and then doing the take-home final exam. One of the first activities you'll be doing in this class is sending an email agreeing to confidentiality. To learn the most from this class, we need to be very honest with each other. So what we're hoping to create in this class is a circle of trust where I'm willing to tell you about some of the ethical dilemmas I face in the organizations I'm a member of, and you're willing to do the same with your classmates. The more honest we are, the more everyone will learn. So therefore, confidentiality is of utmost importance. Every module has several homework assignments. The homework assignments are just short paragraphs related to the chapter material that we're covering. Many homework assignments are asking you to take the best practices in a particular category, let's say the best practices for hiring ethical people, and seeing how well your organization matches up in these best practices. So basically what you're going to be looking at is, does your organization implement this best practice in hiring, such as doing background checks? And if so, how does it do a good job at doing that? And if not, what needs to be done so that your organization can implement that best practice? In addition to homework assignments every week, you'll be doing posts that matter in terms of both quantity and quality. The class runs on a 3-time-a-week system. So for instance, let's assume that class begins Sunday morning and ends Saturday at midnight. The way that the posts run will be the following, say for an Enron ethical dilemma. By Tuesday at midnight, you will have to respond to a real-life ethical dilemma that Enron faced. By Thursday night, you have to read everybody else's way that they managed that dilemma if they were with Enron and respond to somebody that you disagree with. Let's say if your decision was, should you tell the accountants about some funny systems that were going on in terms of bookkeeping? Some students will say, yes, you should tell the accountant. Others will say, no, we should work on it internally. So therefore, if you believe this should be worked on internally, you'll have to respond to somebody who says, no, you should tell the accountants right away, meaning Arthur Anderson, and vice versa. You will also be doing journaling every week, because I want you to understand that ethical dilemmas happen every day. And every day and every week at work, you're faced with a host of ethical dilemmas. So that's what your journaling is all about. And your journaling is on an honor system. It's a 3-step process that is clearly argued and explained in the syllabus. And basically what you're doing is you're just summarizing an ethical issue at work that was either praiseworthy, somebody did something great, or that was blameworthy, that maybe you caught somebody stealing product from the company. And then how did you respond when you observed these things taking place, and why did you think that something was praiseworthy or blameworthy? And then if it's praiseworthy, what can be done so that that action takes place more often? And if it's blameworthy, what can be done to make sure that action doesn't take place again? In addition to journaling, you will also be doing discussions based upon your own real-life ethical dilemmas, and these are ethical narratives. Every week, 3 or 4 students in your class are going to share in writing a real-life ethical dilemma they faced at work. Let's say a boss told you to tell the supplier that the product was in the mail, and actually the product isn't in the mail. You know that and the boss knows that, but that's one way to deal with customers. So that might be your ethical dilemma. The customer's on the line and they say, where's the product? And your boss says, tell them the product is in the mail, when that really is a lie. What do? Do you tell the lie because that'll make your boss happy? Or are you honest with the customer, which might upset your boss? So that's presented as an ethical dilemma, and those ethical dilemmas are posted once again by Tuesday midnight. Then by Thursday midnight, everybody in the class reads all of the ethical dilemmas that were posted and they say what they would do if faced with that ethical dilemma. And then by Saturday midnight, the person that really faced that ethical dilemma says, well, this is what I really did in real life, and how they managed the situation. So this way, when you're faced with that situation, you've already thought it through, and hopefully you will deal with it in a way that maximizes ethical behavior and minimizes unethical behavior. Another major activity in the class is reading a short novel that's relevant in terms of business ethics. One of the novels I use a lot is a book called The Christmas List. And in The Christmas List, it's all about a mean, cruel business boss who did a lot of bad things to a lot of people, and then somebody with their name dies, and everybody thinks he's the one that died. And he reads the comments online about people being so happy that he's finally dead. And that all happens in the first chapter, so I'm not giving anything away. And the rest of the book is how he deals with that, and how he tries to get people to, how he tries to reach out to people that he's hurt. So it's a fun novel to read, and it has a lot of sense, a lot of reality involved in terms of asking people to forgive us for the things that we've done wrong. The next major part of the class I want to talk about is the take-home final exam. We build up to the take-home final exam with every module, every week of the class. So let's say when we look at the best practices for job hiring ethical people. When you do the final exam, you're going to take your answer from the module 2, when we talk about that, into the final exam, so that the final exam is a snapshot of all of the best practices we covered all semester long for your organization. So let's say there's 7 or 8 best practices for hiring ethical people. You will then summarize and you'll say, out of the 8 best practices for hiring ethical people, my organization does 50% of them. And one of them that we do very well in is background checks. One area that we don't do very well in is interviewing. When we interview people, we don't ask them about their own real life ethical dilemmas they face at their previous employer. And we ought to do that. So then that becomes your recommendation. And then with your take-home exam, when the semester is over, you will have a list of recommendations that you can implement at work to improve the organization that you currently work for. In addition, the final exam also looks at your own personal ethics in terms of how you deal with situations. So the hope is that by the end of the semester, you've transformed yourself by a deeper understanding of your own ethics, and you've transformed your organization by making one change in the organization that will improve its ethical performance. And then when the course is over, you're leaving this class with a snapshot of your organization benchmarked to all of the best practices, with the hope that you now have a to-do list for your next 10 years at work on all the things that you can do to improve your organization.